for the House and the Senate during budget negotiations for the omnibus bill as a proviso. It did not get added in. And so I guess I'm going to go ahead and ask Commissioner, I made you almost a secretary there, but Deputy Commissioner Harwood, if you would just give a little background. I know the Senate has heard a little bit more of it than the House has.
So thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. So this comes up with a district that has very few students in it, and may not have any next year, or may be looking at contracting their students out to another district. In current state board regulation and statute, there is, the way things currently read is that that district would be funded based on probably about 28 students, because that would be the average of the prior year and second preceding year. And if the students are contracted out, they get counted as if they were attending the school district of residence. KSDE doesn't think it's good practice to send state aid to a district that is not educating any students. And so we asked about this proviso. The reason we thought it would be a good proviso is we don't think we can fix this. We don't think we should fix this problem permanently at this point in the legislative session. We just need to do something about next year. As I talked to Senator Baumgartner and Representative Williams both, I've already started looking at state board regulation and statute about a way we can help districts not get in this position. And so the proviso or the language that I think you have talks about if a district does not have any students attending, which would also enrolled or attending. And so if they're contracted out to another district, they're not considered attending. So that's how it covers both. You don't have any students actually attending your school, or you contracted out for all of those services. Just so everybody knows, this is different. This statute is different than maybe what a district has for a contract for services like for CTE. This language is actually when you contract out for a whole grade level. And we do have some districts doing that, where one district has a middle school, the other district has the high school, and then they go back and forth. So that's what this language is from.
Representative Williams, you had a question.
Yes, thank you. A couple questions for clarification. One, with the passage of what was originally 2485, so it's the current year enrollment plus or the previous year or the two other options. If this would have moved forward and not been caught, Healy would have been able to be funded for 28. And then would the receiving district that took those 8 students, would they have also been able to count them?
No, if they were attending the other district as a contract, then that contract would determine what rate under that provision, the receiving district can't charge the students anything, but it's in that contract what the sending district pays. So without Senate Bill 73 that is passed, the district would have been funded for 35 students. With Senate Bill 73, they'd be funded for 28, because now it's the average instead of the second preceding year, and then it would move forward from there.
And then my second question is, you mentioned right now that districts can go ahead and contract out grades, and this does not relate to that. Can you clarify that? And how many districts are doing that, where they contract out a grade, maybe bring it back? I mean, what does that look like, and how does that relate? You mentioned it, and then I was writing it and missed it.
So the contracting I'm talking about actually is the statute that allows for districts to contract out full grades. I know of there are 2 districts that are doing that, and it's Copeland and Montezuma. Those are the towns that may not be the districts. And so one of the districts has a middle school. They both have elementary schools. One has a middle school, and the other one has the high school. So one district contracts out 6th, 7th, and 8th grade to the other one. The other district contracts out 9 through 12. And so what it does is now both districts don't have those facilities, and it increases the enrollment in those grades. And there could be others that do something similar. What I talked about is it's not the same, and I'll just use an example from my past in DeSoto, where we had an MOU with Eudora for CTE programs. This is something very different. That's a program, not a full grade. This has to be a contract for, we're not going to teach K through 5, and we're going to have all of our K through 5 students go to another district.
But when school districts contract out, they're not paying the full amount of the funding that they're receiving from the state. Is that correct?
That would be terms of the contract, so I don't know that. I mean, I'm assuming that with a district like that I talked about, where it's a partnership, where they're taking the ones, my assumption is they may not be paying the other one anything, other it could just be a per pupil. Probably just depends on how many students are going which direction. But that would be completely up to the districts and the contract that they come up with.
Okay, so I see that Tamara's not here right now. Committee members, do you have any other additional questions? So Tamara had indicated to me that someone was proofreading from the budget area. Can you fill us in on that?
Yes, so Tamara stepped out to go get the updated language, I believe, to pass out to you all with, after some proofreading that we've done and some changes that we made. So it'll look very similar to the language in front of you, just be the language that would be placed into this bill if it's adopted.
So I'll ask again, are there any questions or reservations about addressing this issue? Okay, so obviously you can see that we are going to have some work ahead of us next year, because we know that we have several school districts that are quite small, and we need to address that. Absolutely. Representative
Yes,
Williams.
thank you, Madam Chair. So just on that note, how many districts are we expecting? I mean, how many districts are under 100 right now? And how many would be potentially losing accreditation if they had less than 10 students? Where are we at?
So there aren't any other districts that are close to 10. I think the next smallest is 70. I think there are 9 that are currently below 100 in this year. I don't know how many that would impact. I mean, next year when we go through there. And just so you know, what I'm looking at with some of those things is a combination of enrollment and then the size of the district. We actually have a district that has very low enrollment, but already has 690 square miles, which means, I think that's one of the things we have to think about is how far do they have to travel to the next, where could they go? And I think that has to be part of that conversation.
Can you go ahead and let her in, please? There we go. I think we're just going to, I appreciate you filling us in. I think we are just going to wait until Tamara gets back here.
Tamara was hitting the printer right now, so it should be printed, and she's probably back on her way up here very shortly.
A quick ask, do we know what Healy received this year, this fiscal year?
It would have probably been in, for just weightings, so it would have been, when I looked at it, it was about $360,000, and that was a $90,000 decrease, so right around 450 is what their state aid would have been, or
$450.
$50,000, yeah. I mean, that's an estimate. I could get you the exact number if you need it.
That's okay. So Tamara, could you please step us through what the changes are?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This proviso is just generally written with more standard proviso language with the references to the different monies appropriated from the session laws and other appropriation acts of the legislature, but it still contains the same prohibition that no expenditure shall be made or no distribution of any state foundation aid monies to a school district that has no students enrolled in and attending a school of such school district in school year 24-25.
Okay, so want to verify that at the end where it says provided, that addresses who they would be contracting with. Actually, the contracting district will receive the funding for the students. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so, because then they would just be considering, it would just be that they were enrolled in that district then. Yeah.
So we want to have a clarification, and I appreciate Chair Williams asking this. We want to make sure that there will not be funding going to Healy if in fact all students are contracted out to different districts.
Or if they have 0 students enrolled on September 20th. Yeah.
Go ahead and ask your follow-up.
Okay, yes, apologies. So if they have 0 students or if they contract out 8 students, this 450,000 state aid, that is 0.
Right. So if they have 0 students, they would actually be eligible based on current law for $150,000 because they wouldn't have any weightings attached to them. If they had students enrolled, it would probably be somewhere around $300,000, depending on weightings, that they could put in the contract to the other district. Because this says they won't get any money, that contract will be dissolved, and they don't have a contract yet, so I'm pretty sure they won't get one. And so those students will just be counted wherever they are attending, and they will get counted in whatever manner that would be.
So no state aid, but they could go ahead and issue capital outlay if they wanted.
So you asked this question before about bonds. I don't think they have any. I know that they don't get any bond and interest state aid. They're still a school district. They would be able to levy those taxes for bond and interest and capital outlay, which they may need in order to keep things going, in order to move forward with whatever their next plan is. Which I mean, I think that's something we just have to deal with later.
Okay. Any additional questions? So do we have an agreement with this language? Okay. So we have an agreement with this language. That's our question. What is our time frame on this? How quickly can we sign paperwork?
We will work as quickly as we can and hopefully get it to you sometime today. I don't know whether that's a calendar day today or a legislative day today, but we will get it to you as soon as we can.
Can we get it before the tax bill? Okay. I'm just trying to keep us moving forward. So,
I'll pull some strings with our proving department.
okay, thank you very much. Thank you so much. We are adjourned.